Good afternoon, my little potato chips. How are you? It's wee Paddy from across the shuck, and another wee, which is probably going to be a long video. But hey, it's Saturday. If you want something to watch, you can watch it. If not, watch it in bits. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is 10. I've sort of put it my top 10 of working knives in my collection. Now, to get 10 of my top 10 knives, to get 10 working knives, I have so many knives. So there will be plenty of others, but this is the ones that I chose today from my toolbox, which is behind you. Ones that I wanted to share with you and why I like them, roughly. I'm not going to go into great depth, but I really want this to be an open tag, and I want to see what your 10 working knives are. And if you haven't got 10, just the ones that you rely on to do whatever jobs. And if you follow along with the theme that I'm doing, hopefully it'll make you a video. You only have to do 5 if you want to or whatever. But for my other subs who don't have channels and who are amazing, write down below your favourite working knives. You don't have to do 10. I quite happily will read it. But, even your top 3 working knives and why. And try to do them in different price groups if you can. If you can't, if they're all budget, doesn't matter. Put them down because I love seeing what's out there. And as you know, I have a lot of budget knives as well. So if I see something I haven't seen and I feel as if I want to see it, just you putting it in my mind might get me the chance to buy that knife that I'm missing from my couple of hundred knife collection. So anyway, look, let's get started. Look, my favorite at the moment, and sometimes I make apologies for putting this knife up because it's so expensive at about £350. It's a Chris Reeves in Cozy. This is I bought this second hand, so, I've done a trade actually for it. So, I didn't have to pay out the cash for it. And that's the joy of being a knife collector. You can trade for other things. But this is just a well-loved, well-used, well-battered knife. It was used before I got it, and I have used the living daylights out of it. I love this knife. I've got it dialed in so that I can flick it. I keep it good, although I use it, and you can see the snail trails where I use it, but I still look after it, even though it is a working knife. Now, a working knife to me might not be a working knife to you. I don't work for a living. I don't do really difficult hard work with a knife. I use a knife as it should be. If it needs a bigger knife, I go and get a bigger knife because I have that selection. So this is a working knife. It does everything. It can do everything. I've only had one knife. This would be the knife that would do everything for me. Have I others that do that? Yeah, I have. And some beautiful ones. But this is, to me, the essence of a working knife. Chris Reeve just makes working knives. Simple as that. And until you get one in your hand, you probably don't realize that it's just a solid. But everything about it, from look at the size of the brass washers where they come up to, they're huge. So everything is there to keep this stable, to keep it working well. It's just and look, how long has Chris Reeves been at the top of his game? Has he changed his knives much? No, he has perfected them. And that's what I like about a Chris Reeve knife. The years of perfection that's gone into it and improvement. So that would be my number one pick. Now, my down and dirty, do everything locking knife that just is still, it was my Grail knife. I still consider this to be a Grail knife because I never thought I would spend, now I didn't have to, but this is a £200 knife over here. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would have a £200 locking knife when I started. But that was 4 years ago and things have changed. Priorities have changed. Financial circumstances have changed. So I now have knives of this value, but this one still has that pull for me. You can do anything with this knife. If I was stuck somewhere and I need to unscrew something and I didn't have a screwdriver, would I use this knife? Yeah, because I'd just redo the end if it snapped off. Because it's a working knife. To me, this is the rich man's working knife, but it's a more expensive. But it's just a timeless piece of cutlery that's been at the top of its game for 20 years for a reason. It's just good, and it's been improved and improved and improved. So this is one of my favorite ever working knives, and one I go for on a regular basis. And here is the new boy on the block. This is the Paramilitary 2 Killer. This is the Para 3. This is everything that the Paramilitary 2 was, but it's got a sensible handle on it. You know, the Paramilitary 2 had a handle that was much bigger than the blade length, always looked odd, was never really comfortable in my hands, especially when I wanted to use it hard. Say I was doing a rake of cutting. I always found the Paramilitary 2 uncomfortable in the edges, and unless you're going to do all that smoothing out yourself, I just, I ended up had it in my collection, but I never really used it that much. Well, from other knives came along in my collection, this one especially. This to me, I believe, is one of the most comfortable hard work knives that can do a bit of everything. It's got a good poke, it's got a belly, it's got a bit of, well, yeah, it is a bit of straight there. It's just the perfect everyman work knife. It's dear, but I mean, you can get the basic model for just over £100. This is an M390, so this will work all day long and you'll not ever notice it slacking. It's a flat grind with a thin enough edge on it to do sturdy, but yet quite finer work. If you want to slice a tomato, it'll do it. But I love this knife. I absolutely, it is definitely for me a PM2 killer, because ergonomically they've just made it better by shortening it. And you don't often say that about knives. Normally, a lot of times when knives are shrunk down, you've just got a knife that's not as comfortable in your hand. The Paramilitary 2 was too long in the handle. This solved the problem, and that's why it's going to become, I believe, the top seller Spyderco ever makes. I just think this is such a good knife. It still has that lovely free dropping lock here, back lock. It's lovely. I just enjoy using this knife every time I got it. But this is a great fidget factor. Like the Benchmade, the fidget factor on these two is just off the scale. I love them both for that reason as well. Because why not have a knife that you enjoy working with? But again, don't let if you can't afford them sort of knives, there's plenty of other locking knives out there. I have a stack of them that will do the job every bit as good without fail. These are just mine. Bear that in mind. I don't want to be criticised for picking, but when I'm picking my favourite, I have to pick my favourite and not the ones that I think you necessarily want to see. That's the ones that I do on a regular basis. This is my choice of knives. So I'm now going to go to the slip joint knives that I've got in my collection. And because I'm in a country where slip joints are the knife, so I have picked more slip joints and I've picked locking knives. To go outside of my house, I really need to use a slip joint. So I'm going to start with this is a £33, I think. This is a Taylor's Eyewitness. This is their budget version of a Barlow. Now, when I say budget, look at that beautiful. Look at that. Is that not just beautiful bolster? What a beautiful Barlow bolster. It's got a more robust, bulbous, as I call it, end on it, which ergonomically really does the job. The clip point on it is a beautiful shape. They're a bit fatter than their US counterparts, I think, the English Barlows. I love the deep nail nick you get in this. It's a very strong pull. It has a really good choil here to get your finger up to make you feel completely safe if you ever have to hard work. Now, this knife over here in the UK is bought a lot by farmers. Why do farmers buy knives? Well, to do everything with. They cut everything, they do everything. They're not going to spend the money on a £200 GEC or whatever. They're going to buy a working knife. This is a solid working knife for £33. Good blade stock. But if they bust it or they lose it, it's no big deal. They can go and get another one. This is just a real solid option if you want a knife that you can beat to death. And it really is. Listen to the snap on this. I mean, that is just awesome. There's no blade wrap. Listen. It'll take your finger up, but it's secure in the hand when you're using it. you feel secure. And it's a company that's been going for hundreds of years. So they make an absolutely... Now, this, their basic knife, for a long time was made very haphazardly. Lee White, the boy who's now making them, has really lifted the game of Sheffield knives, and he is doing it so with this model, and he also does the more expensive models. I have one coming up to show you, which is just beautiful. GEC standard, without a doubt. Without a doubt, I can say that honestly, and I'm looking forward to showing you that. Um, Beautiful, beautiful knife. But this is lovely. This is just a work knife. Nothing more, nothing less. Listen to that. If that doesn't feel secure in your hand, I don't know what will. And this will do any job you want. I think this is a 440 stainless steel on it. I'm not sure. It might even be carbon. I haven't given it a lot of heavy duty work yet. I have used it and it just stands up to it. Just stands up to it. So there's that. Here's another one that I know a lot of you like, and you've got, most of you got the new blue denim micarta. This was one of the original ones that Rough Rider brought out their work knife. I got mine pretty good setup, no touching, really tight on the back. So I have nothing to complain about. I love the 3-ring bolster. Bearing in mind, this is a 20-odd pound knife over here in the UK. It's just an absolute cracker. You have a lanyard hole for a work knife that you're going to throw in your pocket. This is not one. I'm not going to put this in a slip because this is a work knife. It's a bog standard, cheap, but incredibly useful work knife. Look at that blade. Look at the detailed work that go into a knife that's just over 20. I think they're only £26 or something now over here. Cheaper in the States probably, but this is one of the original ones with a black paper micarta, I think it was. It's just amazing. It is just the most comfortable. It's a sway back, so it's great in every position you can think of. And if you've got a dirty, rotten job that you just want to take a knife with you, this is one of the ones that I will gravitate towards. It's just great. 440A steel, easy to sharpen, and I'll show you my methods at the end of the video. But a beautiful, beautiful, and looker. I mean, this is a looker. It's a work knife, but they put a swedge on it. They've done a lovely Wharncliffe. It really, the proportions of this knife, handle, and would just cover everybody. There's very few people that couldn't use this as a work knife. And for that sort of price, much like the Tailor's Eyewitness, you know, it's throwaway. If it breaks, you chip it, you buy another one. Buy another one, and that's the end of the story for that one. It is just a great knife. So now we're going to move up a wee bit, and we're going to move up to this one. This is an Otter. This is the Otter Anchor Messer, which is what I would have called the sailor's knife. It's just a rope knife. This is just something you can set in a bit of rope and hit with a baton through thick rope. That's what this was for, basically, this blade shape, the rope knife. I love the brass inlay. Look how well that, and it is so smooth. The back spring, it's just a really tight knife. It's a German manufacturer, Otter, made in Soligen, I believe. Isn't that right? Yeah, Soligen. This is their German stainless, which is a really good stainless. I don't even know what it is. And the reason I know it's good because I've used it and it works. You know, it's a good stainless. Really is beautiful. I love the Otter. And this is you know, ingrained in it. It's not just a transfer. This will stay on there the length of your knife. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Did you see that? I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can get it up. A better picture for you. The Otter. There you go. Isn't that just lovely with a fish in its mouth? I just think everything about this knife is world class. It is beautiful. I put this little ring in the back. It was a lanyard hole, but this is off one of my wife's old handbags. Sorry, my vision is gone. This is off one of my wife's old handbags. I just put it in there and I put a little leather thong to find it in my pocket and pull it out. Really, really beautiful knife. Again, now it's cam tang, but it's a solid knife. When you open this knife, it locks into place. And again, I like these knives with a bit of a tang there so you can get up and it's not going to close on you. And a working knife, that is really important to me. to me. So there you go. There's the otter messer. There we go. Sorry about my visuals. They're not great today, whatever way the sunlight is coming in through that window. But isn't that just a lovely looking knife? It really is a lovely looking knife. Um, so well made. So you don't always have to look to the budget brands for 50. It is about 50 quid. And to me, this is one of the best £50 knives you'll ever buy. It's just functional. But to have the added little extras, it makes it very special to me. I think it's just a great knife. I would recommend this to anybody to try some of the Otter Messer knives. They do quite a variety, a huge variety of knives, but really worth a try. Now, here's another one that I haven't had for too long, but by goodness did it really impress me. This is the Swell Center Equal End Penknife, for want of a better name, with a beautiful, I call it a bow tie shield on it. It is beautiful. Now, this is made by Queen, but it was Queen City, which was their budget range. Now, I don't know what price they were when they came out. These are the sort of knives now, the Queen knives and the Queen City, that you have to buy in the secondary market. I got this. I think it was in a trade as well, or I paid cash for it, but it wasn't over £100. It was between 50 and 100. I can't remember what it was, to be honest with you. But it's a equal end penknife. You have a lovely spear. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? And a little pen blade. This is from 2012. Still has amazing snap. Lovely jigged bone. Really beautiful. Look at the back on that. Now, this is their budget variety. It's a slight, tiny little gap up here, but it just doesn't affect the knife. Looks or function. It is beautiful. So buying on the second-hand market is what I put this out for, is you can pick up some amazing good knives on the secondary market. Now, I know that Smoky Mountain are starting to do Queen City again, but they're getting theirs made in China, I believe. So this is made by Queen in America, I believe. I'm not going to swear on it, but the standard of the workmanship would lead me to believe that it was American in make. A beautiful, beautiful knife. Really love it. Great work knife. Good thick blade. It's not a thin blade. Good thick blade stock, can do a day's work. Not a problem. Now, here's my three, not probably, these are my three knives that I will go and pick. I know I have lots of other ones, but these are the ones that I will pick to do work. Two of them are reasonably new, these top two. This one I've had from the beginning. This was my first GEC, and it is one of my best GECs still. This is the 78 American Jack. It is just a stunning blade. Not particularly thick, a great slicer, thin behind the edge, but sturdy enough to do any work I ever have to do. Again, that lovely, lovely place for your finger that keeps this. I never have any fear using this, and I have done some serious wood cutting and everything with this. It's just a stunning knife with a good forefinger, and it's good. It's like a sleeve board. It's wider at the bottom. It is just a work knife. One of my favourites, and my first GEC, my first high-end, as you can see, I used it. I have a selection of knives that I use a lot, and but you don't always see them. You see nice shiny knives, but I have ones that I use like this you'll see the use on them, especially the carbon steel ones. This is one, again, I've just recently got. I've never been a three-blade knife lover, or I didn't think I was until I got the GEC. This is a number 82. I think it's the 82 Dixie Stockman. Look at that beautiful one. Is it? The 82 Dixie Stockman. You have that beautiful Wharncliffe there. You have a drop point blade there. So although it's a Stockman, it's different type of blades on it, except for the main blade there, which is just a Californian clip or Turkish clip, whichever you want to call it. But look at them three blades. Is that not That to me is a work knife. What day could you not get through with them three blades? And what blade would you need on top of that to work? I don't know. It is a big knife. This is I think it's a 4-inch knife, open or closed, I should say. But it has excellent blades. And listen to that snap. It is just beautifully. Look how lovely they fit in. There's none of them have blade rub. Um, the bolsters are just beautifully done. Double ring at both ends, that beautiful bomb shield in the center. The jigging on that bone, I absolutely adore. I adore. I think this is the blood red. But that is a knife that surely to goodness, I mean, look at that in your hand. That is a big knife. But if you want to do some work, this is a boy that you can take with you for whatever you want to do. And with them blade shapes, there's nothing I can think of that you'd want to do that you couldn't do with this knife. Again, fit and finish. Look at that. Look at that for a three-bladed knife. The fit and finish is just beautiful. The center, which is, it's so beautifully just rounded over. In hand, it is so comfortable. That shape is just so comfortable. And it puts your knife in that downward motion when you're using your bigger blade, your big clip blade. I love it. I absolutely love it. And look how low the blades are sank into it. Look how low they are. A lot of Stockmans you have the center blade, which is sticking up, and it's very uncomfortable to use other blades when you've got it down. So this is just so comfortable for a Stockman. Um, 82 Dixie Stockman, my absolute favourite three-bladed knife so far, bar one. But I'll get to that in another review. So beautiful knife. And my newest acquisition of them all is the one that took me the longest to get. I've over 20 GECs now, and it was the longest I took to get this knife. One for a while I wasn't sure whether I wanted it, would I use it, would I not use it. I have plenty of knives there. Um, but this is the bullnose. This is the smaller of the two sodbuster patterns that GEC do. Now, when I say smaller, it's still a 3-inch blade. Um, has it been used? Well, you can kind of tell it's got a bit of a pattern, and I've only had it a few weeks. I absolutely. This is a work knife. And the nice thing about this is it's a sodbuster. I had sodbusters in my collection, but never really used them because the other knives look prettier. But let me tell you, the sodbuster pattern has been around for donkey's years for a reason. And I am so late to the game on the sodbuster. Please, if you've never had a sodbuster, and it doesn't have to be a GEC, it can be a Rough Rider, it can be a case to a beautiful sodbuster, much cheaper than this. I think their sodbuster you can pick up the basic Delrin one for about £35 for the smaller one. It's the pattern is amazing. Is it thick blade stock? It's not over thick blade stock. It's really quite thin behind the edge. But as a work knife, absolute belter. It is a belter. That grip in the hand, again, you've got this beautiful, thick, bulbous end to it that just grips you in. If you're going to do any push cuts, I put the little bead and a bit of string there. So I bring my little finger behind so that I can push with the safety that my hand isn't going to go that way. And that's why I have that little thing there to give me the security for push cuts, which you want to do with a slip joint every now and then. So do it securely. Do it securely. Although I don't recommend it. But for me, it's an option. I just love this knife. This is a working man's knife, and it comes in all prices, in all ranges. You don't need to get a GEC. I have, and I love mine. I don't regret this for a second. I'm going to start using sodbusters more often for work knives because, yes, it's not bone, it's not particularly attractive. There's nothing makes, although I do love this pivot. There's nothing makes it stand out other than its simplistic efficiency. It is just a great knife. I use this for eating my steaks now. I use it for cutting up fruit. I use it for anything. It is just an all-rounder. So there you go. There's my blades. But to me, this is just a working knife personified. That's everything you want in a working knife. It's micarta. All right, this isn't the this is the smooth linen micarta, but I've not slipped off it, and I have really put this to some use in the last few weeks. So there you go. There's that. Now I've one other tool that has a knife on it that I use in my working life, and that is the Leatherman. Again, I have small ones, but this is my Leatherman Pulse. This has the most beautiful pair of pliers. They're all locking, so it's not legal. But around the house, I've files, I've bottle openers, I've screwdrivers, both different, the different type of screwdrivers. I have a really good knife blade. I think it's only 440 or 420. I have a pair of scissors. This is a work tool. So if I am doing any work, never mind taking the knife, I take this as well. I really don't use the knife. I don't have a great lot of use for the knife on it, but it's always nice as a backup, or a backup to a backup in my case, probably. But that is another great work tool. The other thing that I use for work is a watch. This is a Casio watch that cost me £10, I think, on Amazon or AliExpress. I don't know. It keeps time reasonably well, very well, but maybe not second precise. It's a rubber strap. It's the knife that I use when I'm working about the house or just doing everyday tasks, unless I'm going out somewhere fancy. But a £10 watch, it's absolutely perfect. I don't even need my glasses on to be able to tell the time, and that's why I picked it. So again, another working tool. I mentioned at the beginning, things that you need or things that I have for quick touch-ups. We're talking and working knives, so these are just working tools to get an edge back on your knife so that it's ready for work. If I'm in the house, this is what I'll use. It's the little Lansky turn box. They're inexpensive. You have the ceramic, and you have on the other side, oh, there we go, you have a diamond. And that's the ones I would go for, that have got the diamond. And these just slot in here. There's a 20-degree angle. And all you do with your knife, I'm only doing this for people who haven't seen it. Now, you will have both the same when you're doing it. So you'll start with a diamond. If it needs a sharpening, you'll start with a diamond. If not, a lot of the time, I just use this as ceramic to put an edge back. You put your knife on it, hold it straight, and then just slide it down. That's all you do. And then you do the other side, down. And just do your knife down. This ceramic will align your edge again, because all you're doing is bringing your edge back out after it's been dulled. The ceramic, most of the time, again, because I'm not a real hard use person, this will do it. But if I get a wee nick, or I get a real dull spot, I'll use the diamond side. There's two of them, two of these. You just slot them in. You can either have a 25-degree angle or a 20-degree angle. And on work knives, 20 degree is absolutely fine for a work knife. You don't want to really go any less than that for a work knife. So I highly recommend that Lansky system. It's the cheaper. I think they're in the 20s is all they cost to buy. And you have two different variants of the sharpening, the diamond and the ceramic. And that ceramic, honestly, your kitchen knives, anything like that, it'll bring them to a razor sharp edge. A super tool. The other tool that I recommend a lot is the Victorian ox knife sharpener. And this is just a pen shape. So when you're going to go out and you're going to do a bit of work and you're worried about taking a cheap Rough Rider, will that last me the day? Well, it's not a Rough Rider, but you're taking your Rough Rider with you. Will that last me the day? You're going to take your carbon steel with you. Will that last me the day? Stick that in your pocket. If you have that thought once, put this in your pocket, because this will bring any edge back. Comes in the pen shape. You pull it out of there and you put it into there, and there's your sharpener. Oh, let me just move that out of the way. There's your sharpener. And freehand, and this is a great way to learn freehand sharpening. These cost about £10. So you can learn how to freehand. You just draw it across it, literally. like that. If you just get your edge, turn it up till it's sitting on there, and just pull it back. And do it the other way. Set it up, pull it up, and that's it. That will put an edge back on seconds that will get you. Don't let it go completely blunt when you're out working. So if you stop for a cup of tea, give it a couple of swipes. Check it with a wee bit of paper if it's sharp. And then, if you're not good, you maybe will sometimes take the edge off it, but it only takes a couple of seconds to get it back again. Don't be frightened to freehand. This is a great way of just getting you, just to sharpen. Use an old knife and just practice. And it's just holding the angle. You don't have to do anything special. It's that. And then pull your knife ground. And that's it. That's freehand sharpening. Just being able to just do that and do that. And you'll get better as you go. Lift as you're coming up off the end. And that's it. You'll get a screaming edge on your knife and get you back to work again. You can come home and use your fixed systems you want, or you can put it on this, put it on the ceramic, and get that, really hair-popping sharp. But this little 10-pound thing is an absolute... Now, it's also got a little ceramic bit there that afterwards, if you lightly just set your knife down and you give it a bit of a sharpen, this will just take any little burr off it. And you literally just run it as lightly as you can across the edge, and you'll get the burr taken off your knife if you've sharpened it well enough. So there you go. This just goes back in here again, and in there it's a little pen, takes up absolutely no room in your pocket, and will recharge any knife. So there you go, covered all my working bits and pieces. I hope this is of interest to you. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. Apparently them thumbs up get you your video noticed more. I'm only in it 4 years. I'm learning. Take care, everybody. Paddy's away for a wee cup of tea, which is gone blooming cold because I've talked for half an hour again. There we go. All the best. Take care now. Bye-bye.